Imagine, if you will, the most dangerous secret in Victorian England. It wasn't a hidden blade in a coat pocket. It wasn't a threat glinting in a foggy alleyway in Whitechapel. No, the most formidable force of the 19th century was something far more domestic, something you would find in the pantry, in the wallpaper, in the dye of a green dress. They called it inheritance powder. We know it as arsenic, and in the mid-1800s it created a dark era of shadowed figures. But amidst the history of this time, one person stands apart from the rest. A woman who didn't lurk in alleyways but sat by bedsides. A nurse, a mother, a wife, a woman who smoothed the brow of her fading family, offering them a soothing cup of tea, laced with just enough to ensure they never recovered, ending their lives slowly and profitably. Her name was Mary Ann Cotton, and before the world knew her name, she would leave a trail of 21 victims in her wake. Welcome to the True Crime Frontier. Before we continue, kindly like this video, share it, and subscribe. To understand her, we must first understand the world. The 1800s were a time of great change, but also great mystery. In the Victorian era, life moved at a different pace, and many families faced unexpected challenges. Beneath the surface of society, there were stories that captured the public's imagination. In County Durham, one name would eventually become a legend: Mary Ann Cotton. Born in 1832, she was a coal miner's daughter who sought a better life. She lived in a world where common household items held hidden dangers and many things were not what they seemed. Mary Ann was a woman of ambition, looking for security in a complex time. She was striking and charismatic, moving from town to town as she searched for a future. But wherever she went, a shadow seemed to follow. To understand her journey, we have to look at the atmosphere of the Northeast, where the struggle for success was real and every choice had a consequence. This is the story of a woman who became the talk of an entire nation. She was a person of great presence with a gaze that showed her determination. At 20, she began a new chapter by marrying William Mowbray. They traveled frequently, seeking new opportunities in different towns. However, a series of unfortunate events seemed to follow their journey. Many in her circle faced unexpected health challenges that the medical knowledge of the time could not fully explain. When William's health declined in 1865, it was viewed as a tragic turn of events. Mary Ann appeared as the picture of a devoted companion during this difficult time. Following these events, she received support from established institutions, providing her with a fresh start. A cycle began to emerge, new beginnings followed by unexpected departures. She moved from one household to the next, from George Ward to James Robinson, and eventually to Frederick Cotton. Each time the story ended in a similar quiet fashion. It is a mystery how so many life paths crossed with hers, only to end so abruptly, leaving behind questions that would not be answered for years. In those days, she was the one present during everyone's most vulnerable moments. She was the guardian of the household, the one who managed the daily needs of those around her. By the early 1870s, many of those closest to her had vanished from the record. Yet, because of the social standards of the era, no one suspected anything unusual. The public could not imagine a person in her position being anything other than a caretaker. But every story has a turning point. For Mary Ann, that moment arrived with a young boy named Charles. It was the summer of 1872 in West Auckland. She was looking toward a new future with a local official, John Quick Manning. There was a sense of change in the air, but young Charles was still a part of her daily responsibilities. She began to express her concerns about the future to those in the community, including a man named Thomas Riley. Her words during those conversations would later be viewed in a completely different. Thomas Riley was a community official who listened closely to her requests. When she spoke about the future of young Charles, her tone was noted as being remarkably certain. When the boy's health suddenly took a turn, just days later, Riley began to connect the pieces of their previous conversation. He was a man of procedure, and he felt that the situation required a closer look. He stepped forward to request that the usual process be paused for further investigation. Initially, the local inquiry found nothing out of the ordinary, and it seemed the matter would be closed. However, the local press had become curious, and the West Auckland mystery began to spread through the headlines. The local medical professional, feeling the weight of public interest, decided to conduct a specialized review of the evidence. Using the scientific methods available at the time, a startling discovery was made. The findings suggested that the boy's departure was not a natural event, but the result of external factors. The investigation into Mary Ann Cotton has shocked the nation. With the courtroom fixed on her every move, the defense claims the home's vibrant decor is the real culprit. Was it a toxic environment, or was the evidence of her involvement too massive to ignore? Welcome to True Crime Frontier. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to tell us the country you're watching from in the comments section. With this new discovery, the focus shifted entirely onto the woman who had been the primary caretaker. The investigation expanded, leading authorities to look back at previous events and other individuals who had been part of her life. In almost every instance, the evidence pointed toward a consistent and unsettling pattern. The news sent a shockwave through the country, and she was described as a figure of immense complexity. The scale of the investigation was unprecedented for the time, involving many past associates. Marianne was taken into custody, but the narrative took another turn as it was revealed she was expecting a new addition to her family. Legal proceedings had to be paused to account for this development. In early 1873, within the quiet walls of the local institution, a new life began, even as she faced the consequences of the past. When the formal inquiry finally commenced in March, the eyes of the nation were fixed on the courtroom. The defense attempted to offer alternative explanations for the scientific evidence. They suggested that common household materials like the vibrant decor of the era might have been the true cause of the health issues. It was a well-known fact that certain dyes used in homes could be influential. However, the scale of the findings was too significant to be explained away by environment alone. The evidence suggested a much more direct involvement. The decision was reached quickly, and the narrative moved toward its final conclusion. In late March 1873, she faced the ultimate consequence of the legal system. She remained composed until the very end, never changing her account of the events. The final moments were described by witnesses as being particularly difficult, marking a somber end to a very dark chapter of local history. Some viewed the difficulty of those final minutes as a reflection of the lives that had been affected by her actions over the years. Today, Marianne Cotton remains one of the most studied figures in historical records, though her story is sometimes quieted by other famous mysteries of the same century. Perhaps this is because she operated within the home, a place of supposed safety. She was the person everyone trusted, the one who held the keys to the household. Her story serves as a reminder that history is often made in quiet rooms and small gestures. It encourages us to look closer at the world around us and the stories that are tucked away in the corners of the past. Thank you for exploring this historical mystery with the True Crime Frontier. If this look into the shadows of the 19th century was compelling to you, please support the channel by engaging with our content. We want to hear your thoughts. Are there other figures in history whose stories have yet to be fully understood? Until next time, stay observant of the world around you.